Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to Kerrash Landing, the Elite Dangerous Community Show. I'm Commander Kerrash, and joining me tonight, two developers from the community. We have Iain and Nick. How you doing, guys?
Evening. Have we lost Iain?
We've lost
No,
Iain.
I'm here.
Oh, he's
I'm
he's happily clickety-clacketing away on your keyboard. So yes, I put out a call on Twitter earlier on this week. There's some very interesting news from Michael Brooks himself. They are considering how they're going to progress the future of the API in the game. Some people might have seen the companion app that you can get on the iOS platform to kind of give you a little bit of commander information and things like that. So Michael's come forward and he said, what sort of things would you like to see as a community in the API to help progress the kind of the development of that? And it started off as really interesting thread, so I thought I'd get my fellow players in on and developers to come and chat to me about it. So Nick, you've got some interesting ideas. So let's have a quick look at some of the things we were just talking about there. So do you want to just take some bullet points there and see what sort of things you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I've done is just go over the thread and try and summarize.
Oh, we lost the call. Sorry, guys. Hello?
Hello.
Connection bugs, you gotta love it. We just lost you for a second there. Take it from the top, Nick.
Yes. All right. So first of all, it's worth mentioning that if people are thinking about contributing to this thread, and we should be able to post a link to that thread, or you can look it up on the forums yourself. It's in the community contributions section, I think.
Yeah.
But Michael's really looking for suggestions about apps rather than the actual data that we want to get hold of, like the system name that you're in, the faction. Mm-hmm. It's more hopefully built around the idea of what are you going to build with it? What are you actually going to turn it into? Because I think a lot of us can speculate about what interesting data there is in the game and want to get hold of it, but when it comes to actually turning it into something that you would use every day or give to other people to use, it becomes a different matter. So that it's important to try to stress that if you're going to interact, contribute to that forum, that thread, that's a really, really good thing to bear in mind is what would you actually build? The kinds of things that people have been suggesting already, a lot of people, about maybe even over half the people, are really interested in what you can build in terms of external peripherals. So what you can,
like cockpits and
cockpit extensions, data pads that have virtual buttons for your cockpit on their landing gear, all that kind of stuff, which is interesting. But I think, to my mind, it feels a bit out of scope for this, because that feels more like it's an extension to the client, like it's add-ons for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, what you mean.
And then the rest of the people, the rest of the sort of ideas, a lot of thought around trade tools. Obviously, that's been the primary focus for all the sort of homespun API hacking and data gathering exercises that we've had so far. Ship comparison tools like Elite Shipyard, where you can play around with your loadout. Other people have suggested also, as an extension to that, one where you can play around with paint jobs and decals and look at the way in which your ship might visually look before you leap into the game, and you can sort of pore over all of your lovely paint jobs that you bought, including the new chrome one for the Cobra.
Nice plug there. Nice plug. So I've had a look at that. That's rather nice actually. And they've also done. Have you seen the pirate pack, which is out now? There's all of the ships have got a pirate skin. Have you seen those?
No, I've not seen that.
Yeah, so for every single one of the ships now, I think we've got the Federal dropship, Sidewinder, Viper, Eagle, Cobra, and I think the Asp. So the main kind of like fighter class ships, they've all got a red and black pirate themed skin, so you can have that nice little kind of group faction sort of gameplay. And I think that's nice to kind of encourage people to get into that little teamwork sort of ethic there. That's a pretty cool little touch they've added in.
that was in last week's newsletter, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we missed that one last time, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I've had a chance to have a look at them. I haven't bought one yet. It's tempting. It's like all of those. I want every single one, but I don't know what to fly. It's one thing I do have to throw open to the chat tonight. Actually, at the moment I'm flying around. I've got my souped up Eagle and my Type 6 for trading. I am weighing up the options at the moment. I don't know if I should ditch the Eagle and upgrade to a Viper for combat, or whether I should just sow both of them up and get a fully spec'd out Cobra. So I'll leave it up to the guys in the chat to give me suggestions there on what they think I should do. We'll catch up on the chat a little bit quickly. Sorry if we've missed anything there while we were just chatting. Max said, no, unfortunately I couldn't get anyone from Frontier tonight. I'm sorry, they are incredibly busy, as you can imagine, and they deserve their Friday nights off. They're very busy folk. Did I just call the ASP and dropship for fighter class? Well, anything can be a fighter class if you want to tweak it as such, Definitely more so than I think. I wouldn't want to take a Type 6 or a Type 7 into a fight, so that's where I was thinking there. So picking up what we were just saying there, actually, Iain, so you've done quite a bit of playing around with the API, what's available at the moment. Is there any interesting aspects that you'd like to see expanded from it?
I think
we've just lost him. I think he just got interrupted on there, so we'll let him finish that.
Let me chip in with a couple more of the things that I saw.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Karen. One of them was galaxy heat maps to show where everyone is in the last 24 hours. A lot like Eve. Anonymized, aggregated statistics, trading hot zones, kill hot zones, system with conflict zones.
Even traffic volumes, because I mean, it's definitely there at the moment, isn't it? When you go into the Galnet. That's all right. No worries, mate. No worries. Yeah, you can get that in the Galnet news information. You can see the traffic data which is there. So why not display it in a more visually accessible way? It's a good idea.
Yes, and complete with coordinates, so you can maybe do some kind of 3D rendering. A lot of people want a pilot's log app, so it shows you where you've been, travel times, other commanders you've encountered, mission statistics, ones that you've obtained, completed, failed, trade statistics, what you've bought and sold and profit, just so you can go back and check if your memory is not very good.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, the notepads and post-it notes I've got scattered around everywhere just to remember things. I mean, it's very reminiscent of how it was in the original games. Just kind of like jotting things down. Where's those good trade routes and things like that. I think the problem is now is because the galaxy is so much more alive. It's very difficult to keep track of all that stuff. So you really need that up-to-the-minute data coming out of the game, really. So yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah, and then there are a group of tools around trading. I think we talked about before, but one was the idea about tracking influence in systems to help coordinated groups know what they're up to and that kind of thing. And the other, I think the last one is social and community tools, where it would a set of tools that would allow you to form into groups more easily. So there's the test group, there's Mobius's PvE group, there's a bunch of, I mean, even you guys that are working on your faction flipping around your planet, Crash, the expansion phase that you're looking for, all that. Tools that would just help you figure out where everyone was and coordinate group efforts, and then maybe even encourage a bit of serendipity where I know there's a lot of people that hang out on Live Radio TeamSpeak. When someone else joins, they go, "Hey, what's going on? Where is everyone? What are you killing? People are in combat zones," and it would allow you to see. You could just say, "Oh, hey, I noticed you're in there. Let's meet up and do stuff."
Yeah. There's so many options, isn't there? Really, it's such a big universe. I think what they've got now in terms of like UI and the things that the data that they give you is very bare bones. I agree with there was a comment just then. Sorry, I'll try and catch your name on there. Sweetboy65, let's not make this into first-person Eve. I can kind of appreciate where you're coming from there. Yeah, if you kind of put too much there, it will become that kind of stat gathering, Excel spreadsheet style sort of gameplay, which is something I know that David really doesn't want. He likes the direct control of you being first person and everything else like that. So I don't think he'll ever get that far. But I think what we're talking about is it's nice to have these kind of external applications to allow us to do that. And this is what the API is all about. Is we can go away and make whatever tools we want to make to do that. And Nick, you were saying some interesting things earlier on about some of the websites that cropped up for World of Warcraft over the years.
Wowhead being the big one that sticks in my mind. So this was around the time that the client capabilities, the add-ons, grew and grew, and you could eventually start doing network interaction within your own code. So wowhead.com sprang up as a community database of every single bit of gear in the game.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was broadly accurate, but there were bugs and there were people who deliberately polluted the information in there. And so whenever you browsed it, you still had this feeling of it's not quite representative. There's still a bit of knowledge about there's unknown stuff out there yet to be discovered. And that was one of the areas I wanted to touch on tonight was, does giving an explicit API for stuff make the game less interesting because it lays bare the sort of procedural and data nature of it all?
Yeah.
And what do you do about balancing the sort of suspension of disbelief versus hard facts and info?
Yeah, and that is the problem, isn't it? You don't want to leave it. I mean, some of the trade tools that have come out are really, really awesome, and I know that the one that uses OCR to capture data, that's basically going to be the most accurate because it captures the data. It is still open to error. People can, like you said, go in and spoof the data and put in false information, which is going to do nothing but just kind of annoy people, really. But it's going to happen. That's the nature of these things. But if they open up the API in such a way that it gives you full, unrestricted access to the data, it gives you accurate information. That's great and everything, but it does kind of spoil some of that joy of, being the first person to find that nice little cluster of trade runs, which get some really, really good profit. And it's kind of like you want to hide some of that for gameplay reasons, but at the same time you kind of want to open it up for those people that are struggling to find those things, because it is very, very frustrating, particularly for new players coming into the game. It's very, very hard, and a lot of people don't see past that initial learning curve, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just too hard to figure out how to do this. It's really, really hard. But once you've actually figured out what it means to find these interesting little nuggets of information, that kind of joy of discovering it, it's almost like completing that really difficult level in a puzzle game for the first time. It's like, yes, I did it. That sense of achievement for doing it yourself is the key thing that Frontier don't want to take away by giving us that data, and I think that's the key thing.
But it is an MMO in that there are no secrets for long.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to see YouTube videos of things. So there's a balancing act there to say, we're deliberately not going to tell you what ships there are out there, and you just have to find them, versus, well, it's just being churlish because it's multiplayer. Of course everyone's going to know over due time, in due time. So why not be explicit? If it's public knowledge within the game, if, Dobbo actually from the TeamSpeak yesterday put it very interestingly, in that if you could fictionally sit down in a starport in the offices of one of the ship manufacturers and browse their catalogue, and it's that open, why shouldn't it be open in terms of a data dump that?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And it also gives you stuff to aim towards. So if you know that there's a naval rank that unlocks a naval jump drive or whatever, who the hell knows what they're going to come up with. But it gives you a reason to play it, rather than just it being a grind, because not everyone wants to be doing the exploratory stuff.
Yeah. So Iain, I think you're back.
I am.
You are back on there. Yes. Everything okay?
I was interrupted by my mother-in-law.
Oh, okay. That's no worries. As long as
she brought me food, so
that's okay then. So we were just delving deeper into what's there available in the API now, and where we think we should go to it. I mean, is there anything that you'd like to see in the API?
I think at the bare minimum, we'd probably expect to see the stuff that the companion app gets hold of anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is quite a lot of data about your current system.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can paste a dump of that, because it's kind of interesting for the chat to see.
It will be, yeah.
There we
now,
go.
It's not all the information about a system. There is, on the actual game API, there is a star system call which returns a hell of a lot of data about the system.
Yeah.
Right.
Which returns the location and type of every single object in the system. Which I don't think we'd like to see that in an API.
Well, someone actually on the forum, on the thread, asked for all the data to reconstruct the radar, because they wanted to make their own little radar peripheral.
Want that scanner? Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. For like a cockpit, like a physical cockpit, like we were talking about earlier on. That would be a really, really nice thing to have in front of you, I think.
Yeah, if that's there's two different kinds of API we can talk about, aren't there? There's the whole web-based thing, and and connecting to your client machine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the client stuff, I mean, that's a lot. That could be a lot more open. I mean, whatever you see in the game, I don't think there's any harm in you being able to extract that data, in a way so you can actually do something. A friend of mine at work, he was actually talking about, can I get all the information about my current ammo and, if I've got a missile locked and loaded or if it's reloading, things like that. Because he was thinking about making a dashboard panel with little lit up switches on that would go red when it's ready to go, and he could flick it, have like a little, safety latch, dead man switch style switches and things like that on it. So he wants that kind of direct information from the client, which I think, I can't see any harm in getting that. I mean, if you can see it in your HUD and it's available in the memory of your client, then why not?
Oh well, the game client knows a lot of stuff it doesn't tell us.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there's always that downside. Yeah.
For example, it knows where every ship is, and it does that wavering radar thing for you.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of layers that gameplay mechanic on top to make it a bit more difficult.
It also knows every single object that's in a system, whether you've scanned it or not.
Yeah, this is the tricky side of it, isn't it? It's opening it up enough to give you the interesting parts of what you might want to do with the API, but at the same time, not giving you too much that it would spoil the gameplay. That's the difficult balance.
Yeah, someone had an interesting idea around wanting to get hold of the chat log in text form and send it to a text-to-speech system, so you could get all the dialogue spoken out loud, which I thought was an interesting.
Yeah, get your ship's computer to do that.
That would be good.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any harm in that data being extracted. I don't see any issue in that myself. So yeah,
and last time we looked at it, all that chat data is going off to the web server and back down.
Oh right, okay, so that is going all round trip sort of. Okay. Just quickly check the chat on there. Agent 00A makes support for the X52 Pro MFD. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I do feel like it's a little underutilized at the moment. I've basically got a clock on there. That's it. It would be nice to have it. So for those who don't know,
underutilized, it's not used at all.
It's not. Well, yeah. I mean, so if it doesn't show up on the green screen, that's typical. You've got a nice little multi-function digital display down here, little LCD thing on there. Doesn't show up very well on the green screen though, unfortunately. It's bright green, so funny that. But yeah, no, I think something on there, just missile count, ammunition count, something like that. That'd be interesting.
Now that skin there, the mercenary skin,
mm-hmm.
That's upsetting your green screen. That is.
Oh, is it really? Is it really confusing it?
No.
Yeah, I see.
That's part of the mercenary pack. That skin, is it?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, I think because I think it's the Sidewinder, the Eagle, the Cobra, and the Viper. I think you get this green with the white marks on the back. I think that's the mercenary skin you get on there. Because I think there's a couple of people have been kind of confusing and saying, where's my skin? I should have got my skin. It's like, well, you have to have one of these 4 ships, and there's, this is the skin you get for it. So.
And the Day Zero decal is the skull.
As far as I'm aware, yes. I mean, I've not received any other decals. I mean, at the level that I went in the Kickstarter, I should have received all of the things that other people have received, and that's the only decal that I've received. So I'll put this on now, actually. So as far as I'm aware, that's it. That's what the decal.
You don't have all the Viper flags, sir.
I would have liked to have had all of them, but there's so many. Right, I think I'll stick with the mercenary paint job. There we go. Cool.
Now, I've recently moved into one of these from my Cobra.
Oh, yes, yeah. How do you like the Viper?
I'm enjoying it more, yes.
Is it because it's cheaper? Is it because it doesn't cost you as much when you die?
I am a little bit low on money, yes. It's not like the old beta days. I haven't had 2 billion credits for a while.
And again, I think that's touching on some of the things with the API, isn't it? It's got to be secure enough that by opening it up a bit more and being a bit more free with that data to give us interesting things, they've also got to be quite clever with the security and making sure that nothing nothing gets opened up too much on there. Oh, quickly before we move on there, Wishbone, yes, there was a USA flag, actually, I believe. It was, I haven't got it, though, I'm afraid. Sorry. I haven't got all of the flags. You can buy them on the store, though. There we go, nothing else on there. So I'm going to, I think I better head off to this other system it's telling me to go to now, so I'm going to see if I can find a route to it. I've just been given another permit, which I hadn't previously been given, so...
What rank are you now?
I just saw it briefly. Let me come back out and have a look at it. I've just gone up a rank to... Where is it? Ensign with the Federation at the moment, which I didn't realise I had, but apparently I have. So
Wesley Crusher rank, nice.
Very nice. I need the red top to go with it now, and just the one little pip. I'll be there. Speaking of pips, actually, have you guys seen the new pin badges and key rings that were mentioned in the newsletter this week?
I have failed to read the newsletter. I've just realised it's Friday. I've been so busy today.
It's Friday. It's Kerrash Landing time. There's a newsletter. Yeah, so they've got these nice little pin badges for each of the major factions in the game, and you can buy them from the store now. So you've got the Alliance, the Empire, and the Federation. Got the nice little insignias and everything done on them. They are very nice, and I want one of each. I can't decide.
£10.50 on that, or £10 on a skin.
I know, and they look like they're fully metallic as well. So I imagine they're going to be sturdy, very nice looking.
I'd like to see a customised badge for every system, every independent system.
Yeah,
I would like a Winner's Hole badge, please.
Customised, yeah. You can give the text to Frontier, and it'll come back, engraved or whatever. It'd be perfect.
Yeah. With the 3D printing services you can get today, there's no reason why we couldn't, send off for them, something like that. It would be an interesting thing. I know, the Blizzard did that with the World of Warcraft characters. You can have the, your custom character printed out. So yeah.
Some of my
Art
friends
says he's ordered one already.
Of course he does. When did
Simon says leave my hole alone.
Oh, that's typical. That's typical then.
Some of my friends work at a games company that do 3D printed dolls. So you design it on the website, according to a set of sliders, and then you hit a button, and exactly that 3D model that you created in the game in the app.
Crazy, isn't it?
Comes out.
Crazy, isn't it? Couple of Ensign Crusher. Someone's just called me on there. Very nice. I like that.
Yes.
Simmer 1548 external ship camera app. Yeah, that I don't know whether the API would give you that kind of level of access to do that. But
client mods. That does feel like something that
Client mods. Yeah,
it's more in that domain.
It's going to get tricky to kind of go into that area. It's not something an API would really give you, because that would be directly changing the game back rather than pulling data out of the game to use externally. That would be kind of, you'd be poking in, changing the rendering pipeline, moving the camera somewhere else, and things like that. Even if you were externally wanted to, say have an iPad with a different view on it, like a rear view mirror or something like that, that's all well and good, but you'd essentially have to have the Cobra engine running on your iPad, pulling the data from a different view, synced up with your in-game engine in your PC.
Ways.
There are ways and means, but first of all we'd have to get the guys at Frontier to release Cobra on the iPad.
Some people have gone even further and said they want to draw things inside the client according to external calls. So that pad in your cockpit between your legs, they want to get their own stuff to come on there.
Yeah.
Isn't there an iPad version of Lost Winds?
Well, there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't feel like hacking all that together though. That sounds like a lot of work.
I'm sure the graphics team are loving you right now for suggesting.
It's like, it's like just trying to chill.
Sure. iPad client, sure. Why not?
Yeah, compile for all, that kind of brings it back around to something else we were talking about early on. Actually, I was thinking just then, with World of Warcraft, they've got that whole scripting engine. You can use Lua for like the GUI elements in game. So what sort of things do people like to see that they could kind of add back into the game? That sort of thing. Would you want a Twitch chat client integrated with the comms panel or something like that, or even TeamSpeak, for example, being integrated more freely into the in-game systems and things like that? Do people want that sort of level of access? I don't know whether that's beneficial to a lot of people. With World of Warcraft, it makes sense. You've got a lot of GUI elements. There's a lot of pointing, clicking going on, and things like that. But would that really fit into this game? I don't know whether that would work. It'd be interesting, and I'd like to see some of the. I know in the bigger ships you have the extra ship screens behind you and things like that. It'd be interesting to see what data you could pump into that. A full web browser. Why not? Let's let's recompile Firefox to run on one of the screens. Cool.
Faces to Stun says he'd like to see a flight track recorder and replayer so that you can view your past battles and analyse your tactics.
Well, that works well for World of Tanks and those other games. That there are lots and lots of streamers showing you a particular match. I don't know. Given this isn't match based, I don't know how useful that would be.
Yeah. But I mean, even beyond that, I mean, just simple things that I've considered before. I'd really like to see a way in the Galaxy map of tracking routes that I've gone down. It's like you were saying, like a heat map. I'd like to see commonly treaded routes kind of get like thicker, darker connections or something like that, so that I can I can see it's like, oh yeah, that's the route that I normally take when I'm heading to Lave, sort of thing. And it's just I wouldn't have to click around the map and try and find that one star system and use the route planner and all that kind of thing.
A lot of people have asked for that route planning, more specific route planning, where you pick up, you say, I need to get between here and here, and I must go through these two systems here.
Yeah.
Now, the companion API, how much stuff is in that about where you've been?
It has a list of all the systems that you've ever discovered for the first time, but I don't think it tracks where you have been, where you've covered old ground. So
the order of precedence or anything.
It's it's under the exploration.
I think it returns the last 5 systems you've been to, or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's
an ordered
relatively. No, you're right. It does. It does do that.
Yeah, so I mean, some of that's there. I mean, whether you can have an extended method you could call to, give you further information, that would be quite nice. I think that would be a nice little addition to there. I mean, speaking of that, the route planner has been mentioned in an upcoming expansion patch, something like that. 1.1, when that hits, we're going to have the route planner is going to allow us to plan up to 1,000 light year jumps, which is going to be an absolute godsend for the explorers out there. And I'm looking forward to that, to be honest. I've been on some really, really long trips up and down to Lave several times, and I'd really just like to be able to click once and plan a route. So,
is it going to prioritise the route to the destination you've selected?
I hope so. I mean, that would make so much sense, because at the moment I know that it does that kind of global search based on radius, doesn't it? It's just it finds every possible route from your current destination out in a sphere, which is okay if but if you know where you want to go, I'd like that idea as well, that I can click on Lave and it would optimize routes in that direction rather than anywhere else, in 360.
Based on the camera, wherever you move the camera, it can start filling in routes for that.
Yeah. So there's some optimizations they can do there too. I think because it is a complicated problem. I mean, I've looked at doing things like that. 3D route planning. In a basically an infinite volume. Yeah, that's a difficult mathematical problem. That's like the traveling salesman with an extra dimension sort of problem. That's something I don't fancy doing, because that's reading a lot of white papers. But yeah, it's
also you've got to have knowledge of the cargo you're carrying, the weight of your ship. That there are other
fuel efficiencies and things like that. Yeah, there's so many things, and which is why you kind of see it building up over a period of several hops, where it kind of that data kind of gathers up over time, because each hop your ship's going to be a little less massive because you've used fuel, and things like that. So it's a tricky problem to calculate. So definitely, I think first optimization I would look at would be, well, hey, let's see what we can not do. So hence, only calculating routes in the direction of your camera, or in the direction of your final target destination, so that they kind of go out in a spindle, in that sort of direction rather than a sphere. Not calculating data is the quickest way of calculating data.
But there's an interesting balance here as well, in that obviously there's a long tail of the kind of things that people want to do in this game. They can't hope to sort of cover everything because of different people wanting to do different things. Some people want a mining-rich API that allows them to identify and log minerals or whatever. But so you make an API and say, look, the community will solve this. Don't worry, let them go nuts, and we don't have to. But then, if you have to recreate in-game systems like jump, calculating routes and all that kind of stuff, Frontier ought to write it themselves and just release it as a canonical implementation. And if it changes, no one needs to update their own private implementation, because it's just using the official one. So I guess that's where Frontier really want to understand what should they write, what covers off the most suggested app types, and what's the biggest bang for buck if the developer time is limited.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of the line you have to draw with it. Really, I know the guys there would want to give us everything in the kitchen sink. Is like give us all these really cool options. Wow, as many things as they can comfortably give us without it being a problem. I think they'd love to do that.
I wouldn't like to see any information come out of the API that no one has actually discovered yet.
That's again, it's that kind of not so much security, but I think that's more of a gameplay thing, isn't it? You're not going to want to know where all the undiscovered things are because it spoils exploration. You don't really want all of the trade data ever being pumped out of the API instantaneously, because that ruins the whole experience of working your way through trading. So yeah, it's a very difficult balance.
I think the trade app guys would be perfectly happy with people just being given their current system.
Yeah.
Because that would fit entirely into their existing crowdsourced kind of methodology that they're using.
And that's in there right now. They've got that as a sort of given. I guess that certainly the client app, the current companion app API, is maybe doing stuff that isn't so interesting, like your complete ship outfit, including what paint job you've got and all kinds of other stuff. That's not really useful. It's certainly very spammy.
Lots of info, yeah. I mean, even if they just kind of refactor the API to give you separate calls for individual chunks of data, that might be a good start. I think,
a nice REST sort of hierarchical data, set. That would be lovely.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting aspect in that. We touched upon it when we talked about how the current API lists the last 5 systems you've been to. And if that had more, then you'd have to query the API less if you were interested in the travel log. And if it had less, then you'd have to hit the API more often, more frequently. So there's a
trade-off, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a balance act.
And I suppose that kind of depends entirely on the background server model. Whether the transactional database wants bigger single transactions or lots of little, batch level transactions. Gets very tricky.
I don't know. There's certainly in trying to map the current data into a MongoDB instance I've been running. It's been a real weird game to try and get the right data to come out the right bit. These NoSQL databases aren't half funny.
Yeah, I can well imagine there.
Yeah, the companion API is querying the SQL database and then chucking out some JSON, isn't it?
Is it SQL? I thought
yes,
it was.
I've seen error messages.
Okay.
So I'll quickly check the chat on there. Voidson, any insider info on the new grouping mechanic? I think that's scheduled for 1.2. I think that's the whole deal of Wings. Is it's going to be an entirely new way of meeting up with players in game and kind of becoming allied with them temporarily.
There was a vague thing Michael said about something going in 1.1 that would support Wings.
Oh.
But he didn't actually say exactly what it was going in. Some multiplayer functionality.
Right. Okay.
But it was vague.
There could be anything, couldn't it?
It was terse. It was pithy, which is not a bad word.
We like Michael for that.
He's straight and to the point. Will it be in there? Yes. Will this be in there? No. That's about the answers we get.
I'm hoping there'll be, along with that, why they're going to take their time over it is that there's some decent content to tackle as a wing.
Yeah.
Whereas right now there isn't quite so much of that going around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely need some more kind of cooperative missions. Something specific which is too difficult to do on your own, but not just because it's too difficult, but the game actively says, hey, you're going to need a team to help you out with that. I think that's nice. Snuffler, no, sorry, there is no news on your crate being added. I keep dropping the hint. I'd like to see every single ship eventually brought in as well. I'd love that, but I don't.
Oh, well, I did promise to add a crate to the thing I wrote the other day. I haven't done that yet.
Oh, your ship name.
Oh yes,
your commander background creator.
You feel free to post a link into that, but I'm not going to read the name out.
You're not reading that out. Okay.
I'm not going to read that out. 7+ and all that. Yeah. Right, just checking through the chat in there. Sorry if I have missed your question. Feel free to post it up again.
There you go. There's a link.
There you go. A genuine URL, folks. Love that one. It's good fun.
Just for Snuffler, I should add crate to the list of ships, shouldn't I?
Yeah, got to add that in there.
Pathologist had an interesting point in that he wanted to be able to extend the route that you're currently on without necessarily having to replot. That would be a nice thing.
Yeah, so you don't have to recalculate. That's a good point, yeah.
But these are all non-API things. That's just
yeah, these kind of more gameplay sort of things. I mean, these are all handled internally by the client code anyway. So, yeah. So getting back onto the APIs, what's the next point we want to cover there?
Yeah. So one of them was the social graph. One of the things that the community will doubtlessly do themselves, but in part it could be canonically owned by Frontier because they can dish out your friends list as part of the API call.
Yeah.
Do you need to recreate your social graph within an external website, or can it just be part of a set of API calls? So just like you and I are friends, so I can see where you are, it gives you certain privileges to see some of my data, so I can get hold of your location via an API call. However, if that happens for everyone, then it could be that some nefarious site gets hold of data and starts broadcasting your location whenever you're in game. And how do you know which one of your friends is leaking? So it's a kind of trust thing, and maybe that's bad. Maybe when you authenticate into a client, into something that uses the API, it says, hey, this thing wants to use your location and it wants to use your ship stats. Are you okay with that? Could there be a permission system that they give you on top of that? Is that too much? Is that too fussy? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the existing client does have that protection, doesn't it, where it goes off, gets the token and everything, the authentication goes on. So, I mean, these are all common practices that you kind of have to do these days, really, SSL and all that kind of thing. If you don't do that these days, you're opening yourself up to problems. So I think you have to have that layer in, regardless of what you want to implement.
Oh, definitely. There's two-factor auth. That you don't give away your password. You do it cleverly. But even should there be any concept of seeing what your friends are doing via the API? Is that potentially open to abuse?
Not without their permission.
Yeah. I mean, it gets tricky. I mean, the nearest equivalent we've got to it at the moment is you can, once you're friends with someone, you can go into the main menu and you can see where they are right now, can't you? Which is
it's actually a little bit broken at the moment.
Yeah. Is it delayed? Is it behind?
No, you can. For a start, you can search for a friend by email address, whether they've told you their commander name or not, which is a privacy issue, possibly. So it would be for some people, I'm sure. The other thing is, if you can see what's coming down off the web server, you don't have to be friends with someone to see where they are.
Oh, really? Okay. Whoops.
So
you
is
just have
that
to have
in
an
the
open request in.
Yeah. So when you put the request in, okay. Well, let's say they fix
Actually, or does
that.
it actually show in the game as well?
Have you ticketed that, by the way?
I have ticketed that, yes.
If you ticket, it will come.
After a couple of months.
Yeah. Give or take.
But is it? Say I log into a site and it gets my friend's location information, so it knows where Kerrash is, and then Kerrash is on his stream and gets not even on his stream. Is there some kind of privacy violation there by Kerrash's location being public then without his consent? Because I've signed up to something, an app. This is very theoretical. I understand this is a bit of a weird one, but would that be bad? Should you eliminate all social graph stuff? The API call should be for you and you alone, and that's it.
I think that's likely what we're likely to see first off.
So friendship within the game means nothing to the API.
Who knows?
This is a problem. I mean, this is, at the moment it's kind of hidden away. There's a lot of things we don't know about. And this is the kind of, we can speculate all we want, but until kind of Michael takes all of our information, all of our ideas away and kind of says, yeah, you can have this, you can't have that, we won't know anymore, really, will we?
Yeah.
So Nick, do you have any ideas of what you would like to build?
Yeah, I've been sort of racking my brains about that, because I have to admit, I'm not so interested in trade tools, and there's a lot of community interest in trade tools. So I'm going to take.
They're already being done very well.
Yeah, exactly. There's precedent there, and a lot of
Jaffa
people
cakes aside.
Yeah, so So the thing I was really interested in was a social app, and maybe a chat app or something like that, where you can encourage a bit of grouping together easily. So you're planning. Let's whilst you're at work, you say, hey, there's a combat zone that's popped up here. Let's go and spend the evening doing stuff over there as a sort of organised thing, kind of like Test or these larger groups would do. Except you can just do it via a website, and you can find out some of this information by, instead of having to ask everyone individually, you can kind of see roughly where everyone is, that kind of thing. A sort of group and serendipity fostering app. One of the ideas was a racing app. This is a bit weird, but what's the name of that? Is the Buckyball?
Oh, the Buckyball 6 challenge. Yeah, it was in the newsletter this week. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's kind of race ideas there. One of the, and we've bandied around this idea around the TeamSpeak channel using the current companion app API, because this would provide it. You can use the API to verify whether or not people are sticking to the rules by staying in the right systems or having got to key waypoints.
Yeah.
And you can also have it timed more quickly through the API and more independently verified and trustworthy in a trustworthy way.
Yeah, make sure they haven't photoshopped their screenshot.
Yeah.
So that was that's a sort of fun thing to do, but fun and also fun. As well as that, extend that idea not just to racing, but a general commander comparison app. So, given all the stats that are amazingly part of the game client that you read on the right-hand panel, and you can see best trade ever and most most this, most that, almost like Commander Top Trumps. that I could compare myself with someone, or a group of us could compare stats, and maybe issue challenges and say
That'd be cool.
Over this weekend, who can make the most money, or who can travel the furthest, or who can kill the most ships?
A website you could type 2 commander names into and compare them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean there was something like that for World of Warcraft as well, wasn't there? You could compare in-game characters, their stats and everything like that. Yeah, so
a little bit of competitiveness, and it's fun. It can be done in a graphical way. It can be shown off very nicely, but it's just to foster a bit of one-upmanship. Community, and also competitiveness in a casual way. And it's not going to be for everyone, but yeah.
I think giving those options is the key thing, isn't it? Let people, make their own mind up. They don't have to get involved. If it is an external app, is something that's made by a third party, it means it becomes entirely optional and it's not forced on you. It's not directly in the game. So I think that's an important distinction to make.
Yeah, and also the other thing I wanted to say was, if I do have any time to put into doing app building, I really wanted to make it a mobile website, because I have a feeling that having an app that is on your phone whilst you're playing the game makes it so much more useful to you, because you can play it in and out of the game.
Without
the app. Yeah.
Now, do you think it's likely that the any public API they release will have any writing to the database?
Michael has said, I think that it's unlikely in the first pass that they will allow things to be poked back up into the game.
Okay, that is
so. Yeah, read only for now, I think, but that does limit the usefulness. But then again, if they mediate that through the client, so any writing needs you to be logged in and using the game client, and reading can happen via a companion app. The fact that you could interact with auctions via World of Warcraft auctions via the mobile app was very late in the day, very, very late. It took them years and years to get around to doing that. So, yeah, read only, I think.
Yeah, for the time being, at least. Just quickly going to catch up on the chat. I've had a couple of questions go past. I'm sorry if I've missed them. Max said that, what about players and their bounties have a searchable and refinable list like Bounty Hunter's Notebook? Yeah, I've got my own notebook for that. But you do raise a good point on there.
Yeah, and wider station services in general. Can you scrape anything that is presented to you via the station interface?
Yeah.
Galnet, we have a Galnet feed.
Again,
the commodity prices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the stuff like Iain was saying on there. It's like you have to limit it to that stuff which is visible to you at the point of where you are in the game. That's the tricky thing. You can't just give it everything which is currently in memory, because you could just.
It would be interesting if the API was able to return to a given commander the last prices they saw somewhere. But then that's getting a bit heavy on the old data storage, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, some of the heavy lifting can be taken on by the apps as well. There's nothing to stop them doing what I'm doing. I've scraped that data since the day.
Like a kind of pilot's log app, yeah.
Yeah. That offloads some of the work from Frontier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that could be done today with the API that's behind the companion app, which we've been told not to use.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, isn't it? We've got to kind of open it up and say, hey, it's like, this is what we want to do, and just kind of let them make visible what we've got there. So, quick question, Deborsh, do you guys have any intention on buffing mining? Unfortunately, that is not up to me or any of us, unfortunately. I hope to see mining improved, because at the moment it's not a good way of making money, which is unfortunate, because it is nice and relaxing. You can just go away and find that good platinum ore and mine away forever. So I hope that does improve soon. I know there's future plans for things like...
Mike Evans did say it's about the bare minimum we managed to get together in time, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things like drones and things like that have been mentioned, so hopefully we will see that improve. Yes, I still need to go to the XBIR system. I don't know what it's for, but the feds have called on me, so I better move my backside now.
Have you found any use for permits yet, in the permits that you've gathered?
Only in the fact that they give you access to a system. That's the only really kind of buff they give you in game at the moment. So
you could run away and hide there, and no one else can go visit you.
Yeah, I mean that's good point. Very good idea. Yeah.
I think Simon said he had a permit for Van Manen's Star.
Already. Oh, I'd like to go on. Yeah.
And he went there, and the traffic report simply only listed his ship for a couple of days. I think. I don't know if it still is. He could tell you in the chat.
The Mad Monks.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, I mean that's an interesting point. I never thought about that. There's going to be some systems which are off limit. The Founders World, for example, is off limit to a lot of people. So does that mean that it's is that a good gameplay idea? I mean, I think it is. I mean, it means that kind of the Founder World is a safe haven for people, which is interesting kind of way of kind of segregating the game up, but it does kind of open it up to that exploitation then, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's interesting in and of itself. I think partly you need a reason to go there, and if the discount that they've now put in the current patch, the most recent patch, to 10% off ship prices or whatever it is, if that applies to everyone that gets that, then that's an incentive, because it does make the game cheaper for you. So
I mean, out of all the permits I've got, the Founders World is the only one that's any use.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you get the discounts and things like that. Yeah.
Now, I think the Beta Hydri permit allows you to go to Beta Hydri, where it's one of the few places that regularly sells those plasma launchers, I think. So there are some esoteric weapons. Some, but they're very loose. They're very sketchy. So
I'd like to. I mean, I went to Ross 128, and
yeah, I've got that one as well. Yeah,
and it's disappointing that there's no prison-related missions.
That would be nice, actually. Yeah, some more kind of specific missions that only pop up in those systems.
But the most disappointing place I've been to is Navy Central.
Really?
Which star is Navy Central?
The one above Akanar.
Eta Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Federation Navy base.
Yeah.
And you'd expect something there to do with the...
If nothing else, nothing but NPC anacondas swarming around the system.
Well, do you remember?
Quite disappointing. They only have a Coriolis as well.
do you remember in beta we had those troop maneuvers that were happening? The instances where there were a couple of capital ships and troops that were sort of preparing, for battle.
Staging area, wasn't it?
Staging area. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that's not in there, because they'd already built it.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of the scenarios they built back in the early alpha and beta, they were kind of placeholders. They were kind of handcrafted examples of possible scenarios and things like that. So I can understand why some of them have got cut and they're no longer in there. But there's no reason why they can't come back. I mean, the missions are kind of, I think they are all pulled from the database, aren't they? And the kind of when you go to the bulletin board, you get that list of available missions and things, and that's all pulled back from the API.
What happens is it pulls from the API templates for missions, and then dynamically populates that template in the client.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, there's a possibility that additional templates can be added in on the server end, and you'll see these kind of new dynamic missions pop up and things like that. So it'd be nice.
The templates are written in some quickly put together VB.NET app, I think. No, VB6 app, I do believe.
Really?
There's a guy at Frontier, I can't remember his name, who's very good at prototyping things very quickly in VB6.
That's the way to do it. Use the tools you are most familiar with. I can agree with that.
Sentinel says in the chat that transferring prisoners instead of slaves would be an interesting.
Yeah. It's just a rare commodity type, or special kind of mission to pop up.
Especially if their friends come after you to try and break them out of the prison transport.
Flavor, mission branches.
Yeah, that's the stuff I miss. I mean, like in Frontier Elite 2, you hold that kind of. That threat of you'll regret dealing with Mrs. Jones sort of message pop up on the screen. I miss that. You do get some of that branching happen now when you kind of drop in.
Definitely improved.
Yeah, it's changed a lot in the last couple of weeks. I think I've seen scenarios pop up that I didn't see before. Suddenly you're getting. I think when you go on the missions to find black boxes and things like that, I've started seeing NPCs crop up now saying, "Oh, you're out here looking for it too. Well, bring it back to me and I'll take it elsewhere and give you the creds for it," sort of thing. Which is like, oh right, okay. It's like that's a new scenario on me. So it goes to show that these kind of templates for these missions and stuff can just be kind of added in and layered in silently behind the scenes.
Yeah,
we won't
and
even
the assassinations were improved as well, weren't they?
Yes, yeah.
In that someone says, "Oh, have you seen so and so over in wherever?" Which is an improvement. It's still not as dynamically fun as chasing someone down in Pirates.
Was it you, Ian?
20 years ago, isn't it?
Was it you, Ian, that told me if you get interdicted by a player, an NPC, and don't kill them, then the chances of you coming across that NPC again are higher. Like they start dogging you.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't me, no.
No, I think it might have been something we spoke about before, but yeah, because I know this because you crashed into a star there, as you do. The way that the game works is there's a kind of system of NPCs which kind of get promoted through like a level of importance. So as
the
you
DDF spoke about 3 types of NPC, didn't it?
Yeah. So they kind of get. They go up this hierarchy of how important they are to you. So if you see them, they get spawned once. You kill them, that's it, they're gone, sort of thing. But if you don't kill them, you let them get away, or they hyperspace away from you again, there's more chance of seeing them again. Yeah, that's absolutely a mechanic that's in there. I think I'm not sure exactly how it works. It's some voodoo on the server end somewhere. But
I've yet to see my NPC.
Someone found my father, which was really, really cool. They didn't even know who it was, and I saw it posted up on, I think it was the Elite group on Facebook, and someone just said, it's like, it's funny, it could have been John Virgo, and then I posted it in, and it was like, I didn't know you played this game. It's like, no, not that John Virgo, no, let's draw a line under that now.
So you had an NPC named after your father?
Yeah.
I just threw a name together and I've not seen it come up. No one would have mentioned it, of course, because no one will tie it to me, but someone did see my name as an NPC.
Oh, really?
I saw Kate Russell as well. I tweeted her about.
That's really.
That was a little bit disturbing because I didn't put my name in.
You've got a fan. You've got a fan out there somewhere.
I don't know what happened there.
Well, maybe the guys put everyone's name in there as well. They filled up the database with common names or something.
Maybe they threw the credits. Maybe they threw the credits at the name.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Is there a Commander Blackley? Somewhere.
Probably.
I've not seen an NPC by his real name, but.
Oh, was he in the credits by his real name? Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There we go. He's hiding along in there.
And he should have been credited. He did a lot of work.
Yeah.
On white hat in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is missed wherever he is at the moment.
Out there in the ether.
Not that he's dead.
No.
He's dead. No.
He's dead to us.
He was just looking forward to offline. That's all.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. I can feel the pain there. It is a gutting blow. I mean, even from my point of view, I mean, it's not so much of an issue for me, but I do really feel bad for the people who desperately wanted that. I mean, I wanted to do total conversions and modding and things like that, and that's kind of bit the bullet with it, and it is a shame. I wanted the game to come out with everything in the kitchen sink and have everyone enjoy it in every possible way they could, and it'd be the best game for everyone. I wanted that, and sadly that's never going to be the case. I mean, 20 years of myself overhyping everything that was going to be possible, it was ridiculous. This image I built up in my mind was never going to happen, and I think sometimes you just got to take a step back and be realistic about it. It's like, yeah, we got a great game. It's never going to live up to the expectations, because I want the full flight suit VR and everything that we're not going to get for another 20 years. I want all of that stuff. I want it to be so immersive you never know. I want characters that speak to you with simulated voices and crazy stuff. Never going to happen.
Things rarely live up to childhood nostalgia.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, virtual reality CV1 might be this year.
It's so close. It's so close.
Would be very cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
I thought one of the nice things we could do with the chat is just get everyone to chip in with the kind of app, if there was an ideal app that they would hope that the developer community build on top of this API. What would it be? Is it trading? I mean, it could just be like something about trading or navigation or social stuff or whatever. But it would be really interesting to have a little straw poll.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, if you following in the chat there, if you've got any ideas for any apps that you'd like to have yourself, then go ahead and put them up in suggestions. If you haven't already, then go ahead and put them in the
thread. We'll steal them.
Claim the fame and all that. So I'll go ahead. I'll post the link in there again. I mean, that's the thread on the forum where the API discussion's going on. If you haven't already gone there and read it, then by all means go in there. If it's been posted up again, that's no problem. It'll be consolidated at some point anyway. I missed that there. I see Ambassador Abagus. Greetings, Ambassador. Perhaps when I get my station. I want my station.
Trading and route history. Trading and commander's log. I would sort of group that in a general commander's log thing. I think that would be the thing that I haven't seen. Many people. It's not as prevalent as talking about navigation and trade tools, but commander's log would be awesome.
Yeah, and that's something that I was because it was suggested on the DDF. It's one of these things. It was a maybe.
Yeah.
They were considering adding in a way of doing it. I'd love to see something like that. That was one of the things I was really looking forward to as a feature. So it's sad to see that it's not there. But yeah, something like anything that kind of makes that happen. So you can go in there. Even if something nice that you could export from that, then and you can kind of have like a commander's log. Today I visited the LHS 142 system. Things were peaceful there. That is something like you could have like little stories generated from everything. That'd be really really cool to have something like that.
Stephen Usher brings up an interesting point in that there's so much rich, accurate scientific information in there that you could actually release a companion app that would be almost educational from an astronomy point of view.
Yeah. I mean, David's the history relating the Raspberry Pi Foundation and all that being, they'd be really interested to get it into schools so people can explore the galaxy and see all that data.
I love Steve's idea here about holding a augmented reality app up to the sky and it shows you which stars you've visited.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd love that. This is, because I was thinking the other day, I went and looked up, my planet. Being the narcissist that I am, I went and looked it up, and I thought, what is the real star of that? Where is that in the sky? And of course, was it Gliese 5? Where is it?
Is it visible?
It is, yeah, it is visible. Because the 160,000 stars around in the actual real data which has been put into the game, they are real stars out there, and it is in the constellation Cetus, the Gliese 59 A and B stars.
Is it visible with your local light pollution?
No, sadly. I live too close to everything. I've got a really nice telescope which I can hardly ever use. Damn it, which is a shame.
Oh.
I found an excellent map the other day of dark skies. It's something like 14,000 pixels across, and it's just the UK.
Wow.
I like Dobbo's idea as well. I think it was Steve's idea that you can also point up and see where people on your friends list are. Where is Kerrash? Yeah, where is Kerrash?
He's over there again. Yeah, that'd be nice. Nice.
I do like looking up at the night sky, and I mean, since I've started playing the game, I've started to learn names of stars that I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game's kind of like subconsciously educational as well, which is
And
nice.
it's educating my children as well, because I'm telling them, hey, that's Beetlejuice, that's Bellatrix. You know?
Which is nice. Yeah, so definitely some AR style apps would be nice. You know, something else as well would be good. You know, an AR app to display your ship. I think that would be quite nice. You could kind of walk around a 3D model of your ship. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Less of an API
I like,
thing, but
we've got definitely more. Garzini has got a vote for Commander's Log. So does Stephen Usher as well, I think.
I'd like you to build us a commander's log, Nick.
Yeah, yeah. All right then. I'll get right on that.
I'm going to stick to building silly things with sweary words in, but you can build us a commander's log.
Hey, how about we both build it? I'm sure we can find a common language.
I think I can
Common
help
language.
on that as
We'll build it in English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I'm
freaky
sure.
Ruby thing that you program in.
Rails is lovely. or Node, even a Node.js things. We can get on
JS
the
would
new,
be fine.
the new hot programming languages of the day.
That's last year.
You've got to do it in Malbolge if you're going to
You're
do it.
growing
in
old
language.
now.
What about Swift? Oh no, that's phones only. But yeah, I don't know. Has anyone else come up with anything? I mean, Commander's Log, I think, would be the nicest one, just because
Yes.
it serves everyone, and everyone's
Yeah.
going to be forgetful and want to look up stuff.
Yeah.
And Frontier don't want to record it forever and keep it there.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got your own personal log of things like that, then it's up to you to keep it as long as you want. You know, it becomes like almost like a Facebook for you then, doesn't it? It's like you can keep whatever you want as long as you want.
And that feeds in really well to a social app. So if you want to share that with other people in a clan or a group, a wing, whatever.
This is how much I made this month.
These are the systems I visited. This is the screenshots I took on the way and things like that. You know, all in in like a newsfeed style app. That would be really, really interesting.
So what we need is
You're writing these user stories now, aren't you, Nick?
That's right. I'm on it.
Scribble,
I'm on it. Can you hear the
scribble,
keyboard?
scribble.
No, the thing. Oh, Christ, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. There was something on the tip of my tongue. I cannot remember what it is now. Oh, it's if you wrote a log of this stuff and aggregate it on a site, people could post little things saying, "Hey, do you want to help me out?" You know, start suggesting things. What would be the name of a galactic Facebook? We need good names, people. If we're going to name this app,
Facebook.
we need a punny name to do with Facebook or Twitter.
Don't ask Psycho Cal. He seems to be a little bit obsessed with toilets right now.
Ah,
Yeah, we are not having a toilet in the game.
honestly, or as a fish tank.
That wouldn't do me. I've started it off.
You can't really beat Facebook, can you?
Spacebook. Yeah, Spacebook's pretty good. I like that one. Yeah, that's good.
Is it available on a .com or is there a .book domain? I'm sure it's going to be.
It'll be there soon.
Lavebook, as Aidan says.
Lavebook. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I like mine. Facey book after the
Unfortunately, it
Empire
looks like
World.
feces, doesn't
Face it does. Yeah, that's the only problem.
It's a terrible name.
Lavebook, yeah.
I always pronounce that Fichichi as well because it sounded a bit sort of Latin.
Who knows how these things are pronounced? No one can agree on the imperial
Pronunciation.
homework, can
There is no good way of pronouncing everything. You pronounce it your own way. That's what I say.
Towel. I like towel. That's quite good. We could have a
Towel?
Don't panic.
Towel, yeah. Always know where your tail is. Yeah.
Yeah.
they? The Space Trader's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right. Let's see if I've just got interdicted, so I'm just going to try and see if I can use this loadout that I've never tried before.
Oh, that's good. Mech Shadow Beast says, "Wouldn't it be MySpace?" Oh.
Let me just check if that's available.
Sadly.
Going cheap.
Yeah, it probably is going cheap these days.
What did it sell for last time? It was only a couple of million.
Yeah. If we wait around another 3,000 years, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Spacebook.com is obviously gone, yes.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Spacebook UK.
Yeah, there you go.
No. There are people from other countries that play this game.
Spacebook.net you can have for 2.8 grand.
2.8. Ugh. Right.
Crazy,
Community
man.
pledge drive.
There we go. That's it. Crowdfunding. You gotta get it.
I'll
Gotta
get a
get it.
Kickstarter.
Spacebooks.net for $5.99. You have Spacebook, for £2,835 and 9 pence for 1 year. Renewal price $11.99.
Genius.
Is it
Friendship
sort of-
Drive. Oh, Friendship Drive would be quite
Friendship Drive. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, good one. Good one. I like that.
good. That was Salamias in the chat.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
You heard it here first, folks. First person to register that URL is going to be rich. And I can hear Ian's already got it.
Someone already has friendshipdrive.com.
Oh,
no.
No, that's so good.
Star Citizens? No, that's a bit too much of a troll, I think.
Don't
Yeah.
go there.
Oh dear.
I've got really
Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. .com.
He's trying to get away. He's going to bugger off. See, the question is now, do I test the theory we had earlier on? Do I let him get away?
You should.
Really? Really?
You should test theories.
If
He's
he's got
got-
a good name.
Joe
I mean-
Jim Gregory.
Like
No,
when
that's a terrible
Simon,
name.
went to Van Man and Star, he confirmed for us that ship list is just players.
Is it really?
Well, there's only him in it.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Pop. There we go. Might as well take the bounty whilst I'm here. There we go. We will test that theory at some point.
Douglas book, says Dobbo.
Good one. Yeah, good.
Stellar Friends.
Hitchhiker book. I like that.
Galaxy Pad. Docking denied.
Commander's Guide to the Galaxy, yes.
Now, speaking of the Dark Wheel,
hmm
they have 1% influence in Shinrata Desra. And no one has proposed that we work on that, have they yet?
Maybe they're all
No.
assholes.
Can we get the Dark Wheel to take over the Founders World?
Possibly. And this is the cool thing. I mean, this is something that's come up. I mean, I got to make a shout out for this. Actually, I feel like I should apologise for it. I mean, I didn't know, so I feel bad about it, but I didn't know about it. Obviously, Michael's come up and he's kind of clarified how the whole reputation thing works. And of course, we've got the lovely poster here prepared by a member of the UGC guys there, which is awesome. I want a station around the planet, and it's awesome. I've had great support from the guys' community, but so Michael's come and confirmed how that's going to work now. So we can work on faction reputations of the various groups in a system, and you can kind of get them into and out of these various states, like economic boom, civil unrest, and civil war, and all that kind of thing. So we as players can group together and do that. But the only way that big in-game events are going to happen, like getting a station around a planet, or the cruisers being sent in, or famine, war, really really big events that might change the systems and things like that. The only way that's going to happen is by someone at Frontier making that decision at the moment. That's the way it works. It's kind of like they're playing Games Master with the entire universe. So I think that makes sense where they're going with that. They absolutely need to stay in control of it at the moment. If everyone everywhere could suddenly band together and set stations up everywhere, or destroy stations, for example, then that's going to be a really, really bad thing. It's going to quickly mess up the balance which is there.
We haven't heard anything ever, really, since Kickstarter about the mysterious DDF god powers.
Yeah, had to go there, didn't you? Yes, that's it. Where are my godlike powers? Flounce, I want a refund. Now I've got that out of my system. Yeah.
Power to smite players.
From the heavens I smite at thee. No, I mean, I don't know what I would want from that sort of thing. I mean, I've got access to the DDF. I don't know if there's anything I would want. Being given that extra information itself, I think, would ruin the game a lot for me, and I wouldn't want access to it. There's a lot of things that, I've been in a really privileged position to have access to, things that they could tell me.
Here he goes.
No, I yeah, I won't get out the door with my big head. I know that. But I've said no to them every time. It's like they keep trying to tell me these little things. I'm like, no, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I want to find it for myself. And I've said that from the get-go. So I think some of the things that were mentioned early on about what the DDF godlike powers could be, sorry, what was that? I missed that.
Gaming with Ian says, "Look, a potato."
Potato.
That planet does look like a potato.
It does, yeah. I'm going to see the roots coming out of it in a second. But, yeah,
no, my planet is chitting.
Chipped. No, it's, I don't know what I would like to see in that category.
There was talk about heat maps and things, wasn't there?
Yeah, and that's, that kind of comes back around to what we were saying about the API.
Yeah.
It does that. Does that information? Does it seem more fair to give that information to everyone in an API? I think it does.
What you get out of the API should depend on how much you paid to kickstart it.
I think that would be wrong. Yeah, I'd like it to be open. I don't feel like I deserve to have it any more than anyone else. Just if it's there and it's available, let everyone have it so that they can enjoy the game the way they want to enjoy the game. That's how I'd see it. Did I see any more? No, everyone's talking about potatoes now in the chat. So speaking of planets, actually, Michael has kind of put a really, really evil little tease into there. He mentions about how the gas giants are going through a pass to improve the looking appearance of them at the moment, which is interesting. He's kind of talking about how they've got more depth to the clouds and things like that. Kind of hinting at that whole working towards planetary landing and all that business, because we know that's coming along, that's coming soon. So so if they're thinking about adding more and more depth and detail to the clouds of gas giants, that's definitely going to be kind of the first layer to that kind of thing.
We'll be fuel scooping off them first, I suspect.
I hope so. That's one thing that I was really looking forward to, and I was disappointed when it wasn't available. I went out there multiple times. As soon as we had fuel scoops, I was like, right, we'll go to all these gas giants. I was like, I can't get close enough. Really? I can't scoop? Oh, I really wanted that to be a possibility in there, but sadly, it's not. But yeah, so I think that's going to be the first thing going down. Goes right back to the early video on the. Sorry, my interface is frozen for some reason. What was it on the Kickstarter, wasn't it? David showed that video of the volumetric 3D fog and everything as you're going through the clouds. That was cool.
Oh, it was nice.
That I want to see.
It was the first video that got me really excited, I think.
Yeah, because
I love the concept art as well that they came up with for the planetary landings. The one with the Cobra going towards the sort of very desolate mining base thing, or whatever it looked like. I think that was beautiful.
My phone lock screen.
Yeah, I had that on my desktop for a long time, and that just brought the nostalgia flooding back to me. That was like, just reminded me of that first flight on Ross 154, and you're like, on Merlin, and it's like, oh, that's what I want. That kind of going right down to that scaling.
Did you ever do much planetary flying in?
No, there wasn't much to see at all, was there?
That was the thing, and this is the thing that David doesn't want to repeat. That he doesn't want the planets to be this kind of these placeholder things where there's two little areas on the map you can go to, and that's it. He doesn't want that. He wants it to be a meaningful experience. And there's, look at it, some of the awesome novels that are out there, written for the game, and there are some truly cool ideas, going down in like a valley, and avoiding someone, things like that. There are so many cool gameplay ideas that can come out of that.
In Frontier First Encounters, did you ever attempt to pick up a copy of Jagged Banner's album and race it to?
The first mission earlier on, yeah, you could do that, couldn't you? There was a trick to completing it really quickly.
I found you had to move from your start station to pick it up, didn't you? You had to go from
I think so, yeah. It was one
Old
hop over,
Curie
wasn't it?
to one over. And I found that you wasted time if you went into space to do that.
Oh, really?
And then the quickest way you could get there, I'd found, was to actually go as fast as you could across the surface of the Earth, of the planet. And that's like the only time I ever did any planetary flying.
Yeah.
I guess no. The other things were the photography and bombing missions, of course.
Oh yes, yeah, and they were really cool. I want to see more things like that. Definitely, those are the sort of things I'm excited to see. Come back in there. At the moment, it's sad that we can't get it because there's so much more content that needs to be added before that becomes a possibility. I think that's the thing, which is a bit of a shame. I know that they've got the tech to do it, but David wants it to really be, stand out and be really, really cool. So I can understand them holding it back so they can do it right rather than trying to rush something out as quickly as possible.
I presume they've already started.
Oh yeah, you look at like the videos of the Outsider that they were working on before. They've got the tech for doing ground level detail in their engine. You look at, but I suppose the most recent example. Look at something like Zoo Tycoon that they recently released on the Xbox One. that very much shows you the sort of level of fidelity they can get on ground level features in a game. And that's how I see the game will eventually look when you go down onto planetary scale stuff.
The Tycoon games show a lot of promise.
Yes.
Well,
In that the one thing that interests me the most about what they've added to the Cobra engine is that the Cobra engine is pretty damn good at dealing with crowds.
Yes.
And that really excites me. The idea of crowded stations.
Really busy, starports, lots of people walking around, things, yeah.
And one of the interesting things about, Nick, one of the interesting things about crowds in things like Roller Coaster Tycoon and such, is that they're all instances of a person object with their own properties.
Yes.
And I once heard David talk about, imagine you're in a crowded space station, and your target is across there amongst a crowd of people. You pull out your gun and start shooting, and every member of the crowd will react differently depending on their.
Some will rush you, some will run away.
Most of them would dive for the floor. The ex-copper might pull out his gun, etc. And that's the kind of stuff that's built in already.
That reminds me a lot of Grand Theft Auto sort of behaviour, which has been around for a good while now, and that kind of stuff. But the thing that I was going to mention was Star Citizen's cityscapes have been really mind-blowing. Just to see the fidelity there. Yeah, and just the detail there that can. Is there enough tech there? So Star Citizen can afford to handcraft each of those because they are they've got a few. It's handcrafted. It's a few systems that are very well done. So if it gets anywhere near that, I would love it. But I do think that the procedurally generated stuff will maybe not have quite that movie level fidelity that Star Citizen has. But it'd be good. I would be happy with good enough because. Everyone should be different whenever you go and find them. It's rather like Outposts. I love Outposts because they are so varied and different.
That's exactly what I love about procedural generation stuff. Is you can get these variations you don't even think of when you're putting these templates together. Effectively, you end up with all these crazy different forms of the same basic elements being used over and over again. And obviously, I mean, someone in the materials team, that build like the textures and everything up and that, they seem to love hexagons. There are hexagons everywhere. Even you look at like Zoo Tycoon, like the tiles on the floor are hexagons. Obviously it's a repeatable pattern. It's quite easy to put into like a symmetry and build it up, sort of thing like that. But it's nice to see it being used in so many different and varied ways. I think.
What's happening in chat?
Yeah, I was going to say, Commander Jan, just a good thing is cloud cities, underwater cities, deserts, jungles, things like that. Yeah, I'd like to see that sort of variation. I mean, the only real plant life we've seen at the moment is in some of the higher tech, richer stations. We can see the little palm trees and things like that. And then, that's just a taste of what could happen. They're very low poly at the moment. Obviously, you get really close to them and you can see the detail disappears in them and things like that. But they're obviously
not very procedural, though, are they?
I mean that's
the one downside.
That's the thing. I mean,
neither are the asteroids.
Yeah, the asteroids. I mean, they wanted to do them procedurally, but I think they ended up coming back and saying, well, actually, handcrafted is a lot quicker in that respect. And you have to make that balance. I mean, in all of the work that I've done on procedural generation over the years, it is very much this balance between what you have available computationally and what you have available in kind of storage. So you want to kind of minimize the amount of storage impact. That's the whole point of procedural generation. But you've got to kind of draw the line sometimes when it gets too computationally intensive to build that asset. You've just got to fall back and admit that, you're not going to be able to make every possible gravel pebble on the ground completely unique and everything like that. It's completely unattainable, and it's just, you shouldn't even bother to try to do that sort of level. So you've got to take a step back and say, well, actually, let's just generate those in 2D on a texture map, and it will look varied and different, but it won't be fully 3D, for example. So you've got to kind of take a step back and draw the line somewhere.
Well, stations are modular, so you can have cities that are modular. You could, in theory, have a lot of modular stuff on planets that you wouldn't be able to see the lines between the hex, hex. Or whatever.
Did you see the 40-minute or so long interview with the lead developer of No Man's Sky?
Yeah, that was
with
fascinating.
Him showing off the engine.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm thinking, as someone just said in chat, that's what Elite needs some of that.
Yeah.
Because it was seamless.
Yes. Yeah. And
I'm running on a console.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's that kind of I mean, I've seen some of the early demos of it and things like that. I think they've got some way to go on it. There's elements I've seen where it's a bit of pop in and things like that, which is unfortunate. And it is that kind of, they've got to find that balance, like I was just saying. Then it's nice that there's some really interesting landscapes, like the variation, big arcs of the land and things like that, which you don't see in a lot of games. You tend to have just like a height map of the landscape. That's it. So I'd really like to see that full variation of the possibilities.
Caves.
Overhangs, caves, all really, really interesting landscapes, like the sort of things you see in Minecraft. I think all that's possible, but it's going to have to be balanced, so it's not so damn processor intensive when you get close to these things that it takes forever. You've got to kind of draw that line so it's seamless enough. But
don't use Minecraft as a benchmark.
No, Minecraft has a lot of issues, I think, as much as
its biggest issue is Java.
Java.
Well,
not being a language snob, but yes.
Well, the other thing that's worth saying is that they do have the computational resources of the cloud, if you want to term it like that. But you can stream data in from servers, so that it needn't be all generated client side.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there are offline renderings of planets, or data sets that are shrunk down to be easily rendered as you approach a planet. I don't know, but there's certainly this is where the fact that it stayed online would help. I don't know if they're looking at keeping the bandwidth minimal for all of that, so maybe that's a bad use of bandwidth. But
now, do you know, John, whether or not the data that is used for Earth is that data someone's typed in there, or is that a very clever seed?
They found the right seed.
Search for it.
That would be incredibly impressive. It might take a few millennia to calculate all of the possible variations. No, I think I'm pretty.
It's very low res, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm almost certain
it's strangely less detailed than some of the other Gaia planets.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, really. But yeah, that has been handcrafted in there, and it was based on a model which gave it the best guess scenario sort of thing, from the seed. But then, yeah, it was, yeah.
Or is it in any way procedurally generated with a lot of guidance, like the way the skins are on the ships? Because they're not actually textures.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, there's layers that you can add in. It depends at what scale you're working at. If you've got, you can never have Earth 1-to-1 scale accurate model. I mean, that's basically Google Earth, and it's changing all the time, and it's just.
Well, there's no point trying to achieve that, I don't think, because Earth has changed. There you go, hand wavium.
Yes, had a ample amount of hand wavium, but yeah, no. So there's layers to it. I mean, they've got a terrain map at the scale that you see from orbit at the moment, which gives it that unique Earth look to it. And then when you get closer and closer in scale, when we eventually get down to planetary landings, you're going to have procedurally generated landscapes fill the gaps.
It's as smooth a change as No Man's Skies, and there's no kind of popping up.
I think it absolutely has to be. Yeah, the engine will support that. It's got the technology there to do it. But yeah, it needs to be a completely seamless experience. Otherwise, that's going to be a really, really unacceptable blow to it, I think.
Also, it has to be worth visiting. The stuff that you need gameplay reasons.
It's got to be something to do. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's not there yet, really.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be those missions that you want to do something there. There's got to be interesting things you can see and do there and that kind of thing. So yeah, there absolutely has to be a reason to go there rather than it just being a pretty landscape.
And I wonder if they're going to bring in the idea that you can leave things in places as well, that you can start dropping off.
Yeah.
The old mining the mining...
What gaming with Iain just touched on the MB4 mining machines. I used to love that. First time I managed to do that in Frontier Elite 2, I was so chuffed with myself. We had rough landing, did it, and I was like, what did I get out of it? 1 ton of water. Damn it! It's like,
I don't know if I ever used one.
It was so hard. It was so difficult. There was very little reward. board, you know, the chances of you actually finding precious gem or something worthwhile, very, very slim.
I've
So
never went in for
satisfying.
trading or mining or any of these things.
See, I was completely opposite. I mean, I really just could not do the combat particularly well. I was sucked at it, to be honest. in the
You
early
were
game.
8.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah, so I was really, really bad. It wasn't until I come back to it the year before last and, you know, did the streaming with Frontier Elite 2 and kind of I watched some of the videos people have done to, you know, how you do Newtonian combat and match someone's speed and all that kind of thing. Come back and then I was like, oh yeah, combat's really good. But yeah, so I was just trading and doing those kind of things and enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah, the idea that you could have all pirate bases as well, that you could stash things in a location, you know, and come back later or give it to other people or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that I would love there to be more of after Wings settles.
Yeah.
Montuxi has raised the topic of bobbleheads.
Bobbleheads! Oh yeah, I want the bobbleheads back on there. I think
if
they
don't come back, I am having a refund.
the physics engine breaking bobbleheads.
Yeah, they did glitch around a lot, didn't I? I think that was the main reason they were removed, wasn't it? Because they did,
Apparently, yeah.
they caused a few issues on there. But it's a shame, but it would be nice. I'd like to see them back as much as anyone else.
We'd throw them money. I'd
it?
pay
Yeah.
for them. Anything that you could decorate your ship with. I mean, I'd love to buy something that I can actually see.
Yes.
Apart from that when I'm docked. You know?
Yeah, that's an unfortunate thing with the paint jobs, isn't it? Any more questions we missed? Sorry if we've missed you on there. Planetary mining, I think we got up to there. Bobbleheads. Okay, I think we've picked up on there. Dobbo said, no, furry dice! Yeah, I think at one point furry dice were mentioned in the game files. I remember I was looking around in there, I was like, they've got a placeholder for fluffy dice. I was like, I want... And then there was all these little hints in some of the dev videos and things like that, you know, fluffy dice in the background on one of the videos I saw them playing with. It was a subtle little hint in there, but I'd love to see that. That would be cool.
Oh, Rusty Swords has mentioned Hard War, which was a fantastic game. I loved that game. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It was another Elite style thing, but set on was it Titan? Was it Titan? And similarly, sort of trading and fighting, and there was a lovely plot about resurrecting a piece of mysterious alien tech, and eventually working your way off the planet. But they did a whole soundtrack for it that was in conjunction with Warp Records, and all the design for it was done by the Designers Republic, which are a big design group in the sort of 90s. They did all the Wipeout stuff. Do you remember the first Wipeout?
Yes, classic.
All that stuff. Yeah, it was a brilliant game. Really, really good. I don't know why he brought that up, but yeah, I'm just saying.
We talk about Designers Republic.
Yes.
So there's a good one there from Devorsha. We need window tinting in custom horns. I think I want spinners on the side of my Cobra as well.
I wouldn't mind skins by
22s.
Designers Republic.
Oh yeah, pop Elite itself style.
They did their logo, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
They're from Sheffield, aren't they?
They are from Sheffield.
Where's Snuffler gone?
He's disappeared. He's buggered off.
I may have to go soon. I have some people to put to bed at some point. So if I suddenly disappear and don't respond...
You're not dead, or your keyboard.
I'm not dead, no.
We've not said something so shocking. So
Can you imagine what could shock me?
Yeah.
I really
I've been
can't.
inured as a moderator.
Yeah, you've seen everything. Really have.
Have you banned anyone today?
We barely ever ban anyone, really.
Yeah.
Permanent ban.
Yeah, we're actually really, really lax, you know.
You could count the number of permanent bans on the fingers of one hand, I think.
Raikadar was talking about banning people with multiple accounts. I think that was the most exciting.
Oh, they don't count. They don't count.
Yeah.
You get spam bots doing that all the time, you know. That's
the number of spam bots that have been banned is in the thousands, surely. But today on the forums we had the 100,000th thread.
Woohoo! Landmark doesn't actually mean anything, but it's still cool. That's so many threads.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a terribly interesting thread, but it was about PvP. I think I don't know.
I was tempted to make one of those little banners saying, "Oh, you are the 100,000th thread. Click here to win your thing." I was like, "Yeah," but no, that would I'd probably get told off for trolling or something if I did that. And we can't have any fun. That's the problem. That's the worst thing.
Custom horns. We don't have horns, do we? Now that would be interesting. We need that when people are in the way whilst you're docking.
Yeah.
There's someone in a Sidewinder. They've only just recently purchased this Sidewinder, and they don't sure how to get out the station. We need a large horn.
Yes, definitely something big in me. But then you also want the comedy horns, like the little kind of like clanging. Especially put that on the Type 9. I mean, that would be friggin' hilarious. I mean, oh dear. So
coloured lights, coloured headlights.
Coloured, yeah. I mean, that's an interesting one. I don't think there's any harm in doing that sort of thing. You know, there's anything which is like customizable. You know, just kind of. You know, like vanity type items. I've got no issue with anything like that being added in, whether or not it's worthwhile.
There's a benefit to anything they can sell, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, and it has to be something which I think is worthwhile adding into the game. You know, it's like it's got to be something which is cost effective for them. You know, if it's not particularly a large market of people out there for it, then I don't think it's gonna happen. In all fairness, and here we go. I'm right near Eto Cassiopeia, as we were talking about it earlier on.
Navy Central.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about this for the name of the social website? Darkwheel.org is available.
Oh.
Darkwheel.org is available.
Register.
Snap that up anyway.
Snap, quick! Before everyone in the chat hears it. So we've got a 30-second delay before you do it.
30-second delay. Do you want that, Nick? I can grab it very quickly.
I'm grabbing it right now.
You grab it now. There you go.
Oh, it's like the Wild West.
If you hadn't, I would have done. Yes, darkwheel.org.
Oh, that's a good one from Dob, actually, having coloured smoke so you can do formation flying in space. That would be cool. Do the old,
coloured paint pellets.
Yeah, splat. See, actually, that's an interesting.
Paint guns for practice.
Yeah, paint guns instead of.
I hit you. I can see it there on your ship.
Little decals splattered up the side of the ship.
There is a lot of damage effects now on the ship textures.
Yeah, that suddenly was kind of added in. I think just after Gamma, it suddenly became a thing. I noticed. You see the laser scorch marks down the ships and things like that, pock marks from the Gatling guns and things like that. So yeah, that was a surprise to me as well. I thought it was there, but it must have been like disabled and layered in at some point. So yeah, that's really cool to see. And more damage models, like three-dimensional damage models on the bigger ships like the Anaconda as well. I think that was.
There's already quite a bit there, actually.
Yes, it wasn't there visible up until very late in the Gamma. I think that's what I mean. And then suddenly it was like, oh, it's back in again. It's like, oh wow, this is what we've been talking about for a while. So, oh, that's going to be a big jump. But okay.
I must go to LFT 133. They owe me a couple of 100,000 credits.
Have you got some missions then? Have you?
I have no bounties.
Oh, bounties, right? Oh, okay, cool.
I've been farming nav beacons.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of good places you can get out there, and you can do some really good damage on that. I mean, I found that I think it was early on I was doing the Anaconda hunting missions for around the 160k mark.
They're tough in something small.
I was in an Eagle, and initially I managed to do 2 in about an hour. Which,
did do something.
Yeah, I managed to do it. It was hard work. I mean, it was kind of like, fly in, do an attack run, fly away, wait for my shields to come back up, try it again. I mean, I had shield salves as well to kind of help boost it for a little bit longer.
And projectile weapons.
Speaking of which, did you see Sandy's post about nerfing shield cells?
Oh, really? No, I haven't seen that.
Well, for a starter, you're only going to be allowed to carry 1, aren't you?
Oh, really?
No. Multiple. Oh, no. Multiple modules are allowed to be installed on your ship. No, what they've done is up the price of them.
Yeah.
And also up the power draw, so it's harder to run.
With a full set, like.
It's harder to power all of them. And your weapons and power-hungry weapons like railguns.
Oh, so if you choose to fit 6,
yeah,
you've got 24
invincible. Yeah,
shield pills available to you.
Yeah,
health potions, as some people call them. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good.
4. If you're limited to 4, that would be nerfing it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they definitely need some balance, and I've said it several times that these kind of things are, until they open it up into the vast public, it's very hard to see where the issues are going to come into it, and where they're going to get used and abused, sort of thing. So I think now that they've seen it and they see that there's a possibility for moves, but I mean, I think it was the same thing for shield regeneration as well. That if you had 4 pips or 3 pips, there was a huge drop in the. It was like an exponential curve, but it was way higher than they wanted it to be. So as soon as you take that extra pip out of shields, you might as well not have it in at all. It's like wow, it drops down.
I made a
severely.
whole video about that.
Yeah.
About me and the Commander Steed did some testing, and it was more than doubly effective. Effective your shields were with 4 pips, and so at the end of the video, I put up a sort of pilot's recommendation. It was basically, if you don't have 4 pips in your shield, don't worry. It's 4 or not 4.
Yeah.
Think of it as a binary thing,
Yeah, 4
Because
parator
the rest
shields or turn them off. It's like
pretty
really,
much.
yeah, and it's I think it's the right thing for them to do is to turn around and tweak them so that they work in a more fair way. I mean, I call it now. I guarantee there will be. Oh dear. Insufficient fuel. Damn, have I been talking away and got myself stuck? I guarantee there will be dozens of threads that pop up complaining about, they've been nerfed now. It's going to happen. It's like, everyone's been playing up until now and they weren't nerfed and now they aren't, unfair, blah, 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 blah. It's going to happen. But it needs to be done correctly. Things like this change all the time. In particular, you look at games like World of Warcraft, that's been changed and nerfed and balanced. It's been done. So I remember, way back when the I completely forgot the term.
Well
the
done.
Wizards, dark wizards, necromancers. No, what are they? There's a specific class in WoW, isn't there? I haven't played it in many years,
Death
as you know.
Knights.
No, warlocks. That's it.
Oh, warlocks.
Warlocks. At one point, when I was playing it way back when, I mean, we were talking like level 60 cap time. They were massively OP, ridiculously. You could absolutely wipe everyone at the floor with them with the area of effect. Spells and things like that, but at one point, and at one point they were completely nerfed. Everyone went up in arms. Oh my god, it's terrible! Oh, it's like, well, actually, they've just balanced the game out and it's made it better for all of these other people that aren't complaining right now. It's like, you've got to do that. Things change. Straight in there. Thank you very much. I could not think of the word. But yeah, so these things happen. It will change. As new things are introduced into the game, it's going to keep happening. Someone very early on was talking about stealth lasers. They were removed in an earlier build. There's no reason why things like that can't come back in. Why, David's mentioned several times before, he likes the idea of this kind of arms race where, you've got the interdictors have come in, which kind of encourages that gameplay, but then there might be other things come in later date to kind of prevent certain technologies and stealth things, and this constant arms race might occur in the lore of the game. So as those things get introduced, there's going to have to be balancing going on for it, because we just don't know how people are going to use and abuse it.
Well, one of the problems with balancing is, and it's the reason that it gets such a strong reaction, is that to find the good point in the middle, you first got to go over, then you've got to go under, then you've got to balance, haven't you?
Yeah, it's like a sine wave, isn't it?
Like
it's
the way
kind of
scales
like, like that. Eventually you'll find a nice middle ground.
And you'll often go too far one way, and people scream "Nerf!" Go too far the other way, people are screaming "Overpowered!"
But they're also, the interdependencies are a nightmare. So where you buff or nerf something else, and something, you're playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's fair to say that games design is
a
hard.
problem with balancing the trades, isn't it?
And weapons as well. It's fair to say that quite a lot of people run with multi-cannons and lasers, and that's been the same for since Premium Beta. I remember that was the loadout of choice back then, when we didn't have anything else really.
I'm running all lasers today.
Oh yes, I did see that. 4 pulse, wasn't it? 4 pulse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fixed. Which is difficult with a PlayStation Pad, let me tell you.
Yes, I can imagine it is. Yeah.
But if you're going to farm something, you can't take ammo.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like if you're going a fair distance out away from systems which are unpopulated, you really cannot take multi-cannons out there at all, because you're not going to be able to reload. Eventually going to run out of ammo, so you've got to have the weapons that fits your style of play and what you're trying to do. That's the key thing, I think.
Yes, but it's lasers or bust. There's nothing. Everything else takes ammo, which I'm surprised at. Railguns taking
Even
ammo.
plasma as well. The plasma.
Plasma, which you could easily scoop out of, take from your fuel tanks or whatever.
Exactly, and that's what they used to do in the earlier games, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think weapons could do with another pass, but we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of other things I'd like them to do first.
Yeah, absolutely on that. I don't think we've missed any chat questions on there.
Well, Dark Wheel then, darkwheel.org. If there's anything to be built, it shall be built there.
Yes, we're definitely gonna have to brainstorm that. I do like the idea of a commander's log. That does sound like
that would be a brilliant
thing. Yeah, I mean,
Well, out of everything that's come up, it seems to be the most underserved, in that no one's done anything of it yet. I've sort of started with the data logging I've been doing from the Companion app API, that even though I shouldn't be doing that.
Well, if we were allowed to use that API, you'd have got a lot further with that by now. And
Priority-wise, I would have done it because other people could test it. Whereas right now, I don't feel like I can share that with anyone just because I don't want to be a dick about it.
The stuff I've written is against the game API, and I can't publish anything.
That's naughty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wonder if there is a little bit of a community group. Collaborative stuff on GitHub these days is in theory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straightforward. So let's maybe think about shoring. I'll shore up the idea into a concrete proposal. Put it on that thread to say, hey, we want to have an app that does this. It seems to serve the community. And I think let's try and make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Is Michael's looking for kind of like ideas and concepts of things you want to use it for.
Yeah,
and then,
concrete things.
Yeah, because there's things that he can't tell us which are available at the moment. So it's really kind of like, well, you tell me what you want to do, and I'll see whether we can open up that data. Because a lot of people kind of hit it straight away and said, oh, we want this data, we want that data, but not explained why.
Not what it's for.
Yeah,
we could knock some quick wireframes together.
And also the other thing. A commander's log works for solo play and for community groups. That you can aggregate it into and let other people see your own information or not. And it's effectively the same site, just with the social graph layered on top of it.
Yeah.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing I've always said, really, isn't it? Is it's never going to stop. The development of this game isn't a one-shot deal. It's out. There's so many more things that can be done and they want to do. So it's going to be really, really cool to do that.
When should we start playing it? Sometimes I do.
Yeah, I feel
There's
the
so
same.
much more to come. Should I hold off playing lots, not so I don't burn out, or?
Unfortunately, I've been so damn busy. I've not burnt myself out playing the game. I've kind of struggling to keep up. I mean, I know some people have been making literally millions a day, quite easily just jumped into the game and are absolutely smashing it. I wish I had that level of ability to get in there that amount of time, but sadly I don't.
The time has arrived where I must go and read to my children.
Lovely.
Farewell, sir. Well, thank you very much for joining tonight.
Which I do in my normal voice for them. Not this voice.
Not the narrator voice, no.
And the narrator voice is even posher than that.
Well,
I just say the words that Simon puts in my mouth.
yeah, I know the feeling. Well, thank you very much.
I'd like to say thank you to John and Nick for having me, and thank you to the people in the chat, and I am going to go and read to my children about wizards.
Great stuff. Well, you take care, sir.
I'll see you back later in the evening. Cheers.
Farewell.
Okay.
So just flicking up through the chat there, actually, Nick, on there, Mr. Junkster said, don't laser weapons need gas to work as ammo? Well, technically, they run off the... I mean, if you go into the modules, everything's got a power usage. Particularly when if I'm in the outfitting screen, I can show you, everything's got a particular usage. So technically, anything which is drawing electrical power from your ship is using your fuel.
But loads of different materials lays as well, so you can get ruby rods that lays.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need a flash lamp to wrap around them, and that doesn't use anything. Helium neon is the classic one, but that's if in theory you've got a perfectly enclosed chamber, then that won't leak. And
exactly. So it can entirely electrically powered and everything like that, isn't it? So it's not.
Yeah. That's doable. Law-wise, but I do wish plasma is the one glaring thing that I do wish didn't need ammo. But I understand for
the design decision for it.
issues.
Yeah. That's the tricky thing, isn't it? I mean, if you've got this virtually limitless weapon, I mean, when you weigh that into the fact like fuel scooping as well, you've got a unlimited ammo in a ridiculously overpowered weapon then, because the plasma accelerators were always very, very powerful weapons, weren't they?
If you can land them,
if you
it's pretty hard.
yeah, they are a nightmare. Yeah, much like the railguns as well. I mean, I'd like to see the things, if Frontier are gathering the statistics for what are being used more, I'd like to see, rather than adding new weapons in or anything like that, just kind of modify them so that they're more appealing. I think, like the railguns, I think were nerfed a while back. They used to be ridiculously overpowered back in one of the early builds, and so you landed a shot on it, it was like 2 shots, you're dead. Yeah, dual railguns on a ship, and you were virtually like death, flying death.
I came across a player commander who was frequenting some of the combat zones and taking people on, and 3 of us tried to chase him down and kill him in a Viper. And one of us was in a Python, and we couldn't kill him. It was incredible. He was so good, so maneuverable, and landed rail shots, and really did a lot of systems damage. They are still very potent.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to fly back. That you can only last about 10 minutes in combat, really.
Yeah, that's the only problem, isn't it? And that's where the balancing comes in, is that if you give someone that really, really powerful weapon, you have to introduce some artificial factor of one description or another to kind of make them not completely overpowered. So that's why you introduce the ammo into them, sort of thing.
Yeah, but then you compare it with railgun ammo. Railgun ammo would last you half an hour, say, or something like that, 20 minutes. But everything else feels quite unnecessarily small by comparison, and I know it's because they're notionally more powerful and it takes fewer hits, but then the cost of missing is so huge, not just in wasted money but wasted time going back for ammo. It doesn't quite work. It doesn't feel like the right balance.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's one of those things that you could look at all the statistics, how many people are using them, and how many shots were landed, how many shots were missed, and if you look at that, exactly, it's that number crunching, that data mining. Now that it's out to hundreds of thousands of players, they can kind of look at that and say, well, yeah, actually, no one's bothering the railguns because they seem very, very difficult. Let's give them a boost, give them a bit of a power up or something like that, so that they're more appealing, or make ammo cheaper, even, just something like that.
That same stuff they do with heat maps on levels, Halo levels or whatever.
Some very, very interesting feedback and statistics you can get on that. And like I said, as much as the alpha and the beta were a good example of that, I think a lot of players were kind of approaching the game with that, well, I'm just going to mess around and do all these things. They weren't playing it in any serious way, so the data was indicative of what they were trying to do, but it wasn't exactly accurate or a real life environment. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I think they had to get the game out and release to everyone, so they can see what worked, what didn't, and what needs to change. And you just can't do that without getting the game out and letting people try it.
Well, to be fair, some people, they do that on consoles. So right now, you can various people have been able to get hold of what's it called? The game with the 4 players and the monster. I can't remember. Anyway, that people do large scale beta testing to gather that kind of stuff. So it's not that they couldn't have done it. It's just that time. It's more time pressures than anything else. Yeah.
That is a factor on there. I've got clearance yet. That's okay. Yeah, that's a good one there. XLG47 there. You'd like to use your cargo space as additional ammo storage. I think that's an interesting thing. Yeah, if you've got that internal cargo rack, then why can't you use it for additional things in the game? I mean, that's something I'd like to see expanded for other elements as well. Something I brought up in a couple of streams back was the idea of if you've got a fuel scoop and you've got that cargo rack, if you take the empty limpets, why can't you fill up those empty canisters with fuel? They go into your cargo hold, and then you could jettison and give that fuel to people who don't have a fuel scoop. That opens up not just that player-to-player trading and helping the exploration side of things, but you could have NPC scenarios that would pop up. Help! I've broken down. I need some fuel, sort of thing, and you can go and drop some fuel off for NPCs, and you could be the opposite side of that coin then, which I think would kind of tie the world together nicely. And Gaming with Iain has just hit on the same thing there. Extra fuel, yeah, sorry, there's a delay in the chat, so sorry for that.
And the game I couldn't think of was Evolve, so thank you everyone who suggested it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those asymmetric games that needed a lot of balancing, to get it right, because when you're going for asymmetric design, the only way you can balance it is through data analysis, really.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at this. Traders. Oh, I feel a bit mean doing that, but I may just do that anyway. I always hate the missions which seem a little bit underhand tactics. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of. Is that bit in my mind just says, no, you can't do that. That's wrong. That's mean. You can't do that. But it is for the independence of LFT. So we. I may just do that one. Yeah, just go off and kill those innocent traders just because. So I may just want to do that. We're at 75% today. The blue arrow is pointing up. We're still in boom, so we will get that station.
Do you have a backstory for your character in the game?
I'm kind of. Well, no. I mean, I think I said this a while back. Actually, is I never really got into the whole role playing side of games and things like that, and it wasn't until the first time I was sat in the office with the Frontier and I heard that kind of crackly radio speak when you're actually working with another player, and I was like, man, this is so cool. I was like, I really just wanted, like, yeah, 10-4, buddy, I'm on your 6, you know, and I just really wanted to get into it, and it's like, I'm not very good at it because I've never done it before, which is why I was so embarrassingly cardboard on the stage at the.
It was lovely.
I was like, I'm not an actor. I can't do this. You know, I was trying to make it sound cool.
I love the conspiracy theory there that people were thinking you were handed a script.
Just like, no. I was like, okay. Yeah, go Eddie, you know, sort of thing. It's like, we talked about what we were going to do, but you know, there was nothing more beyond that. It was literally just, let's just go and, you know, see what works, see what sticks, and, you know, see if the shit, you know, it comes on cue and everything works, and it's like, yes, and we nailed it, it all worked, and I was so pleased. So, thank God. Panic over. As soon as that was done, it was like, right, I'm getting a drink. It was done then. Quick question there.
Done. Off the stage, standing ovation, and now it's a commonplace activity. You know, it's so funny going from that situation where it was, you know, a global reveal. You know, no one had seen that before. Publicly, and now it's just part of the standard game, and it's sort of it's funny how that stuff becomes so familiar, especially with things like streaming and showing other people that there aren't very many secrets in the game anymore. You know, that Thargoids and you know, whatever is to come is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's all there. Oh yes, so frustrating. I want to see that. I did see that, the nice little mashup. You know, the aliens guy meme. I think someone posted up on Facebook the other day, which was quite funny. It was that guy, but it was Thargoids. When you get interdicted and there's no one there. Thargoids. Absolutely.
Yes.
I need that go-to meme. I think I need that on speed dial.
Invisi ships. Yeah.
Can you, Garzini? Can you find which faction you are going against when killing targets? The easiest way to do it is if you select. There's no one available. Typical, right? Because I'm not flying around, I don't see. But in this system view I've got on here in contacts, their faction will show up below on the bottom right there, so you can see who you're going against. If there's anyone working for the LFT independents, I don't shoot them, even if they're wanted. I'm specifically just letting them get away with their business, whatever they're doing, which is a bit naughty, I know. But
well, you know, testing, see if they come back to haunt you.
Exactly, yeah, it's all part of that testing. Stephen Usher, have I persuaded Frontier to place a station around Kerrash? No, I've not convinced them yet, but this was, you know, touching on saying earlier on, you know, we can make up these stories and these gameplay things, and if Frontier like them and they're interesting, then they will, you know, kind of consider doing it properly, and I'm hoping we can come up with an interesting story. I think, you know, the guys that have helped me out so far, they've done a great job of getting the reputation up, getting us up to the 77% we were at yesterday. But I think I've got to put a little bit of thought into what sort of story is going behind it. I mean, what I've done at the moment is I've made it a little bit role play, and like I said, I'm terrible at these things. It's not my area. But I just like the idea of opening up a starport to train all of the new commanders which are popping into the world now, and I think that fits in well with the game's launched. There's all these new commanders coming in. We've got the faster frame shift drives are just introduced, so many more commanders want to get out there into space and everything like that. There's this rush of commanders again. I think that fits in nicely. I like the idea of it being a training station, for those new
structured
commanders.
Role playing.
Exactly.
It's not free form blank piece of paper. Off you go, invent something it's more informed by the structure of the existing galaxy. So I think it's a nicer, easier place to do role playing if you haven't done a lot of that. I haven't done much of that either, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just listened to the Lave Radio episode where you were talking about this faction expansion that you were going through, and I was sitting there thinking, oh, do you know what? I'm pretty sure Michael has said since that was recorded that stations don't get built automatically yet, or I don't even know if there's a yet. They flat out don't get built automatically, do they? As far as I know.
No, at the moment they don't. This was one of the big game events. I mean, I was under the impression that they would. I was completely misinterpreting the information I had available. And that was one of the things I said earlier on. I had to apologise for that. I read into it. A lot of people had read into it that was going to be the possibility. But I think Frontier are doing the right thing at the moment. That anything like that, any big game event where a new station appears or anything like that, is something that they want to handle themselves. They want it to be something that they are keep wraps on for the time being, and make the decision about whether or not they occur. So I think that's the right thing for them to do. I think that's ultimately right, and I just unfortunately I misinterpreted it.
Yeah, no, it's understandable that was a big topic of the original design videos that David recorded way back when. That these it's a living, breathing galaxy. That's what
Yeah,
it's what we should think. So I hope hopefully it does come in. I certainly understand that the expansion outside of known space is going to be something that they want to be careful about. But just as you want a station to be built in one location, surely there should be in the sources and sinks style of thing. A mission to blow up a station, or a station gets blown up as a result of civil war. That would be really interesting. That the Onion Head gets so bad, and so there's such a big standoff that they obliterate, they scorch the planet's surface and blow up the station.
Absolutely, and I want those kind of things to happen. You absolutely hit the nail on the head of what I was thinking. Yeah, you need that kind of the opposite effects to be able to be possible as well. You want a station to go into complete and utter disrepair and be destroyed by pirates and things like that. All these different possibilities. And I think a lot of these things, there's no way that Frontier could possibly plan for every single possible eventuality of all of these circumstances. So they've very much they've taken the right view of kind of working it like a D&D style thing where they're ultimately the games masters. If there's an interesting storyline developing that we've come up with as players, then they can kind of that's good. Okay, then we'll work on making this station look more decayed and decrepit and everything like that, and kind of working that sort of way. And they've got to have that kind of leeway to say, we're going to need a couple of weeks to plan that out and write some story for it and introduce it, and maybe update the assets, even things like that. That is the ultimate kind of gap between like tabletop role-playing games where you have to use your imagination and where you have like video games. You've got to have the content there to support the ideas, so they need that kind of gap, that leeway, that bit of time for them to turn around and say, okay, so this is a cool idea, we want to take this forward and work it through as like a template mission or something that can occur in the game. We just need some time to put that in. Once it's in place, it's something which then becomes part of the normal gameplay, and that's where I'm hoping things will go.
Yeah, and part of the flip side of that though is that when you have procedurally generated games and gameplay, the emergent gameplay is the stuff that really feels magical sometimes. So if there isn't enough emergent gameplay, and there are levers, there are things that are restricted from happening because they must get the nod from FDev, it somehow it's the worst of both worlds in that it's a controlled experience on top of a procedurally generated universe. You know what I mean? It's a fine line to run there. I do want emergent. There's obviously some emergent stuff with the Civil War and expansion phase stuff and everything, but if it artificially hits a ceiling, an invisible ceiling, it's a shame,
Yeah, it kind of breaks it down, doesn't it? It kind of gets rid of that. Kind of, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's difficult to put into words, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's a limit to what can happen as a result of you finding a quirk of the system, and it's that joy in discovering funny quirks to procedural systems